happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. Now you guys can probably already tell that it is going down. Just by that title alone, you guys are definitely gonna want to check this one out, as the Somali fraud scandal in the state of Minnesota just got even worse for Governor Tim Walz after the DOJ just uncovered brand new evidence that points directly towards his involvement. Guys, I'm excited to get into this one, so we'll hop straight into it. All I ask that you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and without further ado, let's hop straight into it, folks. Check this one out.
There are now at least 10 federal investigations into the allegations of fraud in Minnesota. Hundreds of federal agents are on the ground, and the administration has now frozen more than $190 million to cut off the flow of some of the funding fraudsters have allegedly been getting rich off of. But Republican lawmakers are warning the state's next big source of fraud may have just launched with Minnesota's new paid leave policy. Under this billion-dollar program, almost every resident is eligible to take up to 20 weeks of paid leave a year to care for family or for medical reasons, while still getting a percentage of their salary on the taxpayer's dime, up to $1,420 a week.
We are collecting stories already ahead of the program taking effect of where people are trying to scam the system. I've already gotten several whistleblower reports on it.
There's no guardrails. It's going to be ridden with fraud, just like we see in our other systems. The honor system is not the best way to distribute all this money.
In response to those concerns, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has really hammered on the fact that this bill was pushed through the legislature without any Republican support. And despite the growing scandal around all of the alleged fraud already taking place, he argues this paid leave policy has adequate protection.
Insurance program for you that allows you again to take care of what you need to take care of without being forced to choose between your family, your bonding with your child, your own health, and your economic well-being, because in Minnesota you can do both.
All right, folks, and it seems that Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota just won't learn. He's now opening the door to even more fraud in his state with this newly proposed paid leave program. 20 weeks of paid leave for folks, and Governor Tim Walz is defending it, saying that folks of Minnesota should be able to do what they have to do, very vaguely specifying why folks would need to take 20 weeks of paid leave. Not to mention, this includes and applies to Somalis and migrants in the state of Minnesota. And I'm going to just say this, folks have seen enough. I mean, this is a blatant fraud and it must be prosecuted. We got our friend here, Ian Yeager, on X with a tweet that I found very interesting. He says that, "Dear Republicans in Congress, nobody wants congressional hearings for their fraud uncovered. We want criminal referrals and arrests. Thank you for your attention to this matter." And that just shows you, plays back to my point of how fed up these folks truly are with the fraud, the widespread Somali fraud that they've seen throughout the state of Minnesota. It's so apparent this isn't alleged anymore. This right here is flat out fraud. And we had another journalist following in the footsteps of Nick Shirley, using his method and visiting these so-called healthcare centers, and to no surprise, he instantly found over 100 cases of fraud. Check this out.
This building right behind me has 22 different home and community-based healthcare companies registered in the building. It's only 4 floors. I walked in there yesterday trying to find a number of them. Many of them are just, they appear to be just window fronts, door fronts, with nobody behind. So same story, different location. We're here in St. Paul at this building, which looks like a warehouse or a dilapidated old building. Inside this building, there are 60 registered home and community health care organizations inside this one building. We're here in Northeast Minneapolis, and we're at a building that I believe is on the radar of authorities. They have questions about it. A lot of the businesses in here are home health care businesses. Of the total businesses, there's 37. 17 of them are home healthcare businesses. There's just layer upon layer upon layer of fraud throughout this city, Jessica. As for whether Governor Walz is going to testify before the Oversight Committee, that remains to be seen. We asked him his office if he was going to testify, and we have yet to hear back.
Doesn't take a rocket scientist to see exactly what's going on here. The fraud in the state of Minnesota has gotten out of hand, and I say fraud because that's exactly what this is. There is no alleged anymore, because there is factual evidence proving that these folks committed fraud, and there's an overwhelming amount.
Garrett made a good prelim leading into this interview, but he used the word alleged. And after you've had multiple convictions over a long period of time, and then you see many of the same people in the same pattern doing the same thing, it really isn't alleged. It's a question of how widespread, and that's a big part of what we're dealing with. And what we're also dealing with is those very investigators, the independent journalists who uncovered the latest round, are being trashed on mainstream media as we speak. Well, in fact, thank you, Fox. You're covering the reality that this is not new, and it just is a question of how deep it goes. And when we get done with Minnesota, what about the other 49 states? Are we, in fact, as Americans, paying for this kind of fraud in the tens of billions of dollars?
When we've seen the amount of convictions and the amount of evidence that has came out on the fraud in Minnesota, there is no need to be using the word alleged anymore, because we know exactly what's happening here. It's all factual evidence. It's been documented. It's been proven. We need to start moving forward with the proceedings, the prosecution, and actually holding these folks accountable. No more tough talking and strong words. It's time for some action. That's exactly why we have the deputy of the Health and Human Services now reporting that 0 receipts have been sent for the federal funding following the crackdown or fraud crackdown in the state of Minnesota. It's because they don't want us to know.
You want justification for why they need that money. Has the state given you anything yet?
We are still waiting. We told them on Tuesday we need receipts. We're not going to send money to Minnesota, to the state, until we know that it's not going to fraud, and the burden of proof is on them to prove it. So we've asked them to send receipts, and we're eager to review them.
And still nothing yet?
Nothing yet.
Wow.
I truly believe I know exactly why Tim Walz' Minnesota is still yet to send any receipts over to the federal government in regards to the federal investigation into the fraud throughout the state of Minnesota. And it's probably because a couple of folks in leadership would be implicated if those receipts were to get out. And now we have even more trouble roads ahead for Governor Tim Walz' Representative Nancy Mace now saying that she has prepared some very tough questions for Governor Tim Walz' testimony in front of the House Oversight Committee. He's going to have to answer to all of his lack of oversight and his lack of leadership throughout his state. He was responsible. This was the guy that was supposed to be the adult in charge, but he allowed these folks to take advantage of the system.
I cannot wait for him to testify. I'm telling you, I wrote my questions this morning for the oversight.
Yeah.
If he testifies, I've already written my questions, Governor, if you're watching. I've written my questions for your testimony next week, and it's going to be very good for the American taxpayer to get to the bottom of this. But a couple things. Number one, 2 things I want to mention. Governor Walz's office asked one of these organizations to investigate themselves. Like, that's like, you know, like I guess the wolf guarding the hen house sort of scenario. But secondly, if the money has gone overseas to fund terrorism, we're never going to get it back. But we have a right to know, did American taxpayer dollars fund terrorism overseas? And if any Somalian had anything to do with any of this, they need to be denaturalized and deported now.
Right on cue, the Republicans in leadership are now demanding answers from Governor Tim Walz. They're planning to drag him in front of the House Oversight Committee to testify on the widespread fraud that he allowed on his watch. Now, I'm very excited to see this one, because the craziest part about this is no matter what these loonies on the left, they continue to argue and say that these folks did no wrong and they're being targeted. But deep down, they know exactly what transpired is wrong. It's as wrong as 2 left shoes, but they're too scared to admit it because they don't want the backlash coming from their party. I mean, just look at this woman right here when she accidentally has a Freudian slip.
And I do see some signs over here that say stop fraud, and I agree, stop it. There are wait lists for these programs that are years long. There is fraud,
That reaction was very telling. This woman just had a full-on Freudian slip and it said exactly what she's been thinking, but too afraid to say it out loud because these folks on the left are too afraid to go against their party. They only want to go up to bat against the big bad orange guy, President Donald Trump. And I'm going to leave you guys here with this heater coming from our friend Nick Shirley's right-hand man, his partner in crime, David, as he's now announced that he's just filed criminal action against Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota. Check this out.
I filed a formal criminal complaint against Tim Walz for violating Minnesota Statute 3.971, Subdivision 9. So there's an investigation ongoing, and I think Tim's going to have a bad day, and he deserves it. because he allowed this fraud because he wanted the voting bloc that the Somalis represent, because they all vote in a bloc, and it's 100,000, 150,000, who knows how many. But it's so bad now that when we go to a facility, they're already screaming, Nick Shirley, Nick Shirley, Nick Shirley.
Yo, there we have it, guys. Oh my goodness, we just witnessed it heating up in Minnesota in the middle of winter. And that's all because the DOJ feds are now closing in on Tim Walz' state of Minnesota when it comes to the widespread Somali fraud. This thing has gotten out of hand. It's gone too far. And we can see that the leadership that was elected in to represent the people in Minnesota are failing them. They're being neglected. If you're allowing this fraud to go unaccounted for and unchecked for this long, I have no other reason but to believe this is intentional. You have to be involved in some sort of way. There's no other way that I could believe you're putting your career on the line, your freedom in jeopardy, unless you're receiving some sort of kickback. And the more the documents, the evidence flows out, the more we follow that money. I'm going to say right now, that's where we're going to get these corrupt and bad actors that have been taking advantage of their political office. They've been taking advantage of the seat that they've been serving in by continuing to try to enrich themselves. And I really hope we don't drop the ball on this one. The DOJ, and I'm putting a lot of faith in these folks. We haven't seen any prosecutions yet, especially folks in leadership. It's been a while since we've seen anything like that. That plays back to what I haven't seen anyone actually being indicted since LaMonica McIver or that Judge Hannah Dugan in Wisconsin who escorted that migrant out the back door in order to evade ICE. So hopefully we see the DOJ actually taking this thing seriously, but I'm not holding my breath on prosecutions. We have to see even more. I think it'll have to be a really groundbreaking development for someone to actually be perp walked and be brought in front of a judge. But this thing stinks. It really reeks of a fraud. It's deeper than it just being Somali fraud, because I believe these folks are getting way too much credit. I mean, yeah, they may be bright. They may know the system a little bit, but there is no way that they could have gotten away with this for so long. We're talking about over 5 years. I think it was like 7 years they've been getting away with this. And you're telling me that they've been able to dodge all the checks, all the processes to make sure there's not fraud without any help from folks in leadership? I'm not buying it. And that's why we'll continue to follow any updates to come right here with your boy RetroStef, guys. But definitely hop in the comment section. Comments are open. And I'm excited to hear what you guys are thinking on this one. My question for you guys today is, do you believe that folks in leadership if found responsible for the widespread Somali fraud, facilitating or playing a part, do you believe that the DOJ will actually hold them accountable? Or do you think this is going to be the usual outcome that we see far too often, where these folks get off the hook and we never hear about it again? Let me know. Definitely hop in that comment section. Also want to give a shout out to the folks who made it this far in the video. I really do appreciate you guys when you get all the way to the end, because it pushes our video out even further. We get the truth out, and more folks are able to see exactly what's happening, what the mainstream media will not cover. So a big shout out to you guys. Really do love y'all. But before you guys get out of here, please make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy more content like this coming from your boy RetroStef, I'll catch you guys on the next week.